So I was searching through the internet trying to find a topic to discuss for today, and I realized that there's not really any look at the first 3 parts of Pokemon Horizons on here yet. No one really discussed all the parts yet. The only thing that you really see is maybe just mentions of here's what we're expecting or what could happen, but nothing like a big jump into all 3 parts. Now, there are some that mention part 1, but I haven't seen anything for part 2 or part 3. So that got me thinking, you know what? Let's talk about Pokemon Horizons today. And to let you guys know that this was made a couple days after the reveal of part 3 coming out on Netflix. So if part 4, 5, or 6, or how many other parts there are out there, or seasons, depending on who you are, just know this is going up to 3. I'm not going to spoil any of the episodes because I do recommend watching it. And I'm going to mention something to people who have yet to watch it and who just refuse to watch it for whatever reason. So let's just talk about it right away. So basically, there are these 2 main characters by the name of Liko and Roy. And they are Pokemon trainers who have inspirations on things they want to do. For Roy, he wants to explore treasure. It kind of sounds a little dull, but when you actually watch it and see what happens, you're like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And eventually, Liko wants to go that path as well. But many people, especially me in the beginning, considered this to be like an Ash 2.0. But I don't think that's where that's heading. I think it's more of just trying to explore and see what else is out there, and possibly look into getting some type of achievement. Again, it's without going into complete detail because I don't want to spoil. Eventually, she does find a path, but you have to again watch to understand. And then you have what's known as the Rising Volt Tacklers, and this was the reveal of Captain Pikachu, which had a couple people a little frustrated. But I'll get more to that later on. Now, I know this isn't good for a review, but I don't quite remember all the names of people on the crew. But they all have something to do in the episode. It's not just filler, which is what I enjoy when I'm watching these shows, regardless if it's anime or any other show I'm watching on TV. I'm not the biggest fan of filler. I'm not the biggest fan of filler. And here you don't really get that. You'll get little parts here and there, like maybe Sprigatito gets jealous over something Liko's doing, and then at the end of the episode they come together and later Liko's like, hey, I'm just like, you're still my partner and we're gonna work on this together, and they basically just hug it out. And it's really cool to see that all these characters, the good guys, the bad guys, and a lot of the interactions, they're all enjoyable. For the most part, they are very, very enjoyable. Which is interesting because we've seen Pokemon Journeys and how it's really hard. It was really hard for them to have multiple characters get different personalities. And you get that here. In Horizons, you have the person who likes to work on the machine, the one who likes to cook, the one who likes to make videos. And you get every single different thing, and it makes it feel very refreshing because it's, like I said, with Horizons it was shown as can be that it's hard to characterize all the characters if you have so many different ones. But with Pokemon Horizons, it seems like they had a lot more wiggle room to make it happen. So, just like the first 10 episodes of Horizons and the first 10 episodes of Journeys, already Horizons wins by a long shot. Because while it's interesting to see where Journeys was going to go and what it eventually became, Horizons just knocks it out of the park, and it's really enjoyable. And you find out more things, like you've seen in the trailers with the Pokeball that Roy was walking around with. You find out more about that. Liko pendant, where she got it from, and what it became. It's all stuff that you see in the trailer, and fans immediately were like, oh, this looks like garbage. This looks like trash. But if you actually took a second to watch the show, you would actually like it. Like, I stopped watching the Pokemon anime during Black and White because, for one, I was kind of outgrowing it. When that happens to everybody for the most part, that you're going to outgrow things, and there's a good chance that you can come back and enjoy it later on. Trust me, I've had it done many times. But also, it was at a time where like, the anime itself just wasn't hitting. Because the Black and White anime itself was not good. And so I'm like, why bother watching it? So I stopped watching it after Black and White. I heard some stuff that was happening, and sometimes I would watch like the old movies or try to keep up to date, especially once I kind of started to fully get back into Pokemon. So I can get it that maybe I'm just looking at it differently and not just like, where's Ash? If Ash no here, it means bad show. And that comes from the same people that years and years of people just saying Ash needs to go. This is ridiculous. This is awful. Ash needs to go. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. The second he leaves, those same people are like, no, we want you back. Some people just want that attention to where they can't pick a side. And I think there was more of the we want Ash back crew, because when the series first got released, or like first got announced, I should say, people were hating on it because Ash wasn't there, or they're just going to wait till the cameo appearance that he shows up in. Will he show up? Maybe. It's common for anime to do that, but also because Ash has been with Pokemon for a long time, 25 years, it would be bound to happen that he'll show up. It could be a take on Liko, it could be a take on Roy, I don't know. But right now, we're real early in the Pokemon Horizons world, and if you are one of those who have not seen it yet, either because you were like me, who didn't want to watch the anime after a certain point because it looked bad, or those who don't want to watch it because Ash isn't there, just watch an episode. If you have Netflix, watch an episode. And worst comes to worst, you'll watch another, or you'll stop. It's completely up to you. I would say if you're going to be curious on how the show would play out, I would suggest going up to probably the first part, which I think is like 10, 11 episodes. And then after that, you can decide, okay, is this something I want to continue watching, or do I not want to? Because when Pokemon released the first 2 episodes to their YouTube channel, I was hooked. I was like, this is different in a way that I like it. And I think if more people just gave it a try, it would get more popular than it already has. Because honestly, and this is going to be very hard for people to understand, for story-wise, it seems like Horizons is doing better than in most seasons that Ash was in. Yeah, you had your iconic moments, but overall, Horizons, I don't know what it is about Horizons, but it just seems to be more enjoyable than with Ash for the most part. Like, I'm not going to say all of it, because there are good moments with Ash, don't get me wrong. Like the stuff with the Orange League, the Shiny Noctowl, when he beat Leon, that final battle. So it's there. They're there. But for the most part, like, Horizon is something to enjoy. And if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. I highly recommend to watch episode Horizons. Watch the first full 10, 11 episodes, or part 1, as they say on Netflix. And then either stop watching and say George is a moron, or keep watching. Because, it's hard for me to pick a show. But if someone like me is like, oh yeah, go ahead and watch this. This is actually pretty good. Most of the time it is, but that's all I want to talk about. You guys have a good one.